Okay. Good turnout. Thanks very much for attending this Meet the Manager, Meet the Board evening. A couple of apologies, first of all. Chris Oakley, unfortunately, is up at King's having treatment today, so he won't be able to make it. And Scott, unfortunately, Scott Rutherford's got a prior engagement, so he won't be able to make it. But if anybody doesn't know who's here at the table, it's myself, it's Jim Parmenter, the chairman, the manager, Nicky Forster, his assistant Steve Brown, Roger Knight and Frank Clark, who are both directors of the club. I'm
going to ask what everybody wants to ask. Is there any truth in Northampton rumours? What's happened with that, and where's that going to go over the next couple of days?
What rumours are they?
My online tipster suggested to get on.
Oh, you see, I don't go online, so I've no idea what you're talking about. Okay, there's nothing to report as far as the club is concerned. I'll let Nicky say something if he wants to in a second. We have a policy at the club, and have had for some time, that we don't comment on speculation or rumour. We will announce something, anything, if it's fact and if it's going to happen. But you can't win with speculation. Whatever you say, it doesn't stop the speculation. It just creates more. Any conversation that the club may have with an employee of the club is confidential and will not be talked about unless there's something to say which is significant, and that will always be the policy, certainly as long as I'm chairman, because speculation is exactly that, speculation, and we would gain nothing by commenting on it. Do you want to say anything more than that, Nick?
Well, only that it sort of makes it sound like there's loads going on behind the scenes, you know, when we're not sort of being open about and front about it here. But there isn't actually. There's nothing actually happening. It's very flattering to be linked to a league job, but you know, I'm fully committed and fully focused on, as I say, what I think is a very, very big game for us Saturday. You know, we've had a couple of losses in the league, and that's the bread and butter. I've said it all the way along. You know, that's the most important competition that we enter, more so than the cup competitions. And it's very, very important that we bounce back from the 2 defeats and with a win Saturday, which lines us up very, very good for the game against Dartford, which is an important league game.
Oh, I don't know. I quite fancy a trip to Wembley, but
my name's Gary Middleton. The question basically is to Jim and the board. I have spoken to Jim before regarding incentives for floating supporters, people that can't make every home game. And I talked to you about the voucher system we had in place some seasons ago. You didn't sound too enthusiastic at the time about this. Have you had a change of heart or another sort of plan B to try and increase the crowd?
Well, I'll ask any of my colleagues of the board if they've got any other views, but it's something we've tried. We've tried 2 or 3 different options. I think we had a 6 for the price of 8, no, 8 for the price of 6 or something like that. Various schemes we've tried, and the bottom line is really they weren't very popular with the supporters, and people didn't buy them, so we didn't do it again. But I mean, we're always open to ideas and suggestions, and as we do our pricing policy for next season, we'll certainly take anybody's suggestions into account, as we do every year. So the answer is, I personally haven't had a change of heart because I've not yet come across the scheme that I think the supporter base will buy into in any big way.
Hello, Bill Parker, to Nicky Forster. Have you had any luck with a training ground anywhere yet?
It's been something that we've been looking at since we came here. Now, we have got a problem with the training facility, is that it's not a full-size surface. Now, we've got a lot of players that come from some distance away. The furthest player comes from Wickham, would you believe, which is a long drive. We've been looking very hard at places in and around the M25, but the problem with that is the sheer population of the place. Everywhere is busy. Nearly every place we've looked at, you can have an hour at Friday night from 10 till 11 if you want. No thanks, it's no good for us. We need it to be Tuesday evening, Thursday evening. Now, what we would look to try and do is try and bring a third day's training for the players in going into next year, but it's not something we can just throw on them at this stage. You know, they're used to a pattern of Tuesday evenings and Thursday evenings, and that's one of the problems we've got, is because it's a balancing act, as I've said before, between strategy and fitness. You know, how much we put technically into them and how much physically we try and put into them. But we are actively still looking for a place. We have used the pitch out here a number of times, so as the weather starts to deteriorate, it starts to turf the pitch up, and we're fortunate with a fantastic pitch here, fantastic playing surface, and we don't want to destroy that. We're asking the players to try and play a little bit of football, and we don't want to turf the pitch up too much so they can't do that. So the answer is we are looking for somewhere, but it's proving difficult at the moment.
Yeah, can I just add to that I've been personally, along with some help from Roger, looking for an opportunity for the club to develop training facilities in the Dover area, not only for the first team but for youth team, for youth development, for School of Excellence, etc., etc. So far, my representations to the council have fallen on not necessarily deaf ears, but haven't got very far. But certainly it's a personal aim of mine that we should be developing training facilities here in the town, because we all know there are no facilities whatsoever in the Dover area for the kids, and that we could utilise as a club. So something we see is very important for us in the future, but at the moment we don't seem to have that opportunity presented, but it's something we'll keep working on.
If I could just add, if anyone does know of an area, then obviously we all need to work together. So if anyone knows of an area, but it's got to be a full-size pitch, it's got to be floodlit, it's got to be 3G, which is the third generation AstroTurf. We looked at a place over in, was it Folkestone, Frank? Yeah, Folkestone, but it was a sand-based AstroTurf, and it's just no good. It's no good for injury prevention, it's no good for conditioning, and we'd pick up too many injuries. So we had to turn it down, but you know, we must have phoned probably 20, 25 places now, looking for different venues from Maidstone up to Dartford, all the way around that area, just to make it a little bit more accessible for everyone to get to. But as of yet, we've drawn a blank.
You know, you said about the problem with the training facilities. You're looking around like M25 area, like, for the players. Have you considered linking up with like a football league club to use their facilities? You know, as they have to be in a football league, obviously got to have a lot better facilities compared to Conference Premier, that sort of thing. So maybe that's something you could look at towards getting good facilities. You know, share it with a lot of League 2, League 1 club.
We've spoken to Charlton, see if we could use their floodlit area. We see if we could use their grassed area. Absolutely no chance. You know, I don't think what they want to do is come in on a Friday morning and find one of their grass pitches turfed up by a team that's trained there the night before. You know, and I can understand that. They spend good money on their pitches, maintaining them. You know, they've got 4, 5, 6 teams that use them throughout the period of the week. Probably more traffic than that, and they don't want the extra. They don't want the extra bodies on there. So we've spoken to 2 clubs, Charlton, Dagenham, and Redbridge, and they're just not interested.
Hi, it's a question for Nicky. It's fairly obvious at the moment we've got a large squad. So you've got 3 or 4 sitting in the stands every week. Doesn't very often happen, although it did earlier in the year, that you need to use a sub-keeper. Notice you always have one on the bench. Is that a policy you're always going to use, or would it be more viable at times to have a 5th outfield option to change the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the time that you don't put that goalkeeper on the bench, odds law, it's going to happen, isn't it? And you're going to need him, and you're going to have to put an outfield player in goal. Now, generally, when you've got 5 subs, you put a keeper on the bench, you want 2 players of forward options to try and change the game should you need it, a defender and a midfielder. So I still think we've got enough options for us with a goalkeeper on the bench. It was much easier to do so when there was 7 subs, but now with only 5 subs, I still think it's worthwhile doing. If you were to lose points come the end of the season because you didn't have that keeper on there, I think you'd rue that. So from my point of view, yeah, you need a goalkeeper on the bench. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is for Nicky Forster. Where do you see, in your opinion, is like the weak link in the team, and how do you see going about improving the team even more? So, you know, push on higher, maybe get ready for the Conference Premier. What would you say is the key point to improving the squad?
Well, I think we've come in and inherited a squad. I think it's heavily geared towards a 4-3-3 formation. I particularly, my personal opinion is that I want to play a 4-4-2 formation. I want to play with wide men, pace, and I think that was an advert of that Saturday from Woking. You know, they had pace, they had power. I think that's the most difficult thing to mark against. I don't think we've got huge options out wide, width-wise, that give us ammunition for the strikers. I don't think we've got a big target man, so we've got to get decent service into our strikers in and around the box. And I don't think we've got the wide men to quite do that at this stage. I think we need more competition for places, certainly in those wide areas. But I would like to go 4-4-2. I would like to play with width. I want to get behind defences, crosses into the box for my strikers to go in and attack. And I don't think we do that enough.
Hi, it's Graham. We've got 2 players on the transfer list. Is that purely to make salary savings, or is it to bring another player in at a later stage?
Well, I mean, as I say, we're heavily geared towards a 4-3-3. We've got statistic we've got here was that what was ours? What was it, Brandon? Yeah, we've got 13 players that take 6 positions through the team. So we've got 13 players that are made up of 2 centre halves, 2 centre midfielders, centre forwards. So we've got 13 of which only 6 play each week. So we're heavily stacked in that central area. We know that, and that's why I don't think we've got width. Now, we do need to bring the bodies down. I think a squad of 23 is too high in this league. But although the chairman has given me backing to say, if you need to go and get someone, fair enough. But you look at the situation with David Holdsworth at Lincoln. He's brought in 7 players, and he's managed to get 1 player out. And he's creating a lot of problems by having too many players. Because what you find is they all split into little fractions. Then that undermines exactly what you're trying to do. Players do not like sitting in the stand. And, you know, when you get those divides in a dressing room, it's very, very difficult. It undermines, as I say, everything you're trying to do. So we're working really hard with the players to try and keep everyone on side. But it's certainly the case that we do want to bring the squad down. It's not, I'm not under huge pressure from the chairman, I don't believe, to bring them down just because of financial reasons. He's not saying, look, you've got to get them out because of the money, but we need to get them out because we want to bring some in. Yeah, that's for sure. It's not personal. Those 2 boys that are on the transfer list have not been playing of late. I don't think that we as a squad need 3 keepers. I think that's crazy. So it's purely a situation of the ones that aren't playing and the ones that for the foreseeable future probably won't be playing much. You know, it's only fair that they look and see what other options are out there, because at the end of the day, every player wants to play.
For Nicky again, with another wonderful trip to Boreham Wood on Saturday, what are your views on the trophy this year? Are you going to be taking it seriously? Obviously, you're going to try and win the game, but is it going to be a priority or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think the trophy gives us a very realistic chance of getting to Wembley, more so than the FA Cup, and so we will go about it with a win the game policy. Certainly, we try and set out to the players, and we've tried to install in them that we go out to win every game. Believe it or not, we do. But no, for sure. And I think actually Saturday's game is a very, very important game for us. We've had 2 defeats. The manner of the defeats have been very different. We admit that we were poor against Boreham Wood and were beaten on the day. Now, we were beaten by a better team, in my view, Saturday, Woking, as hard as that is to say, you know, but they are the best team in the league. And I think for the majority of the game, but for a 20-minute period, they were the better team. So it's important, what I'm trying to say is it's very, very important that we bounce back now. We get that momentum going again, we start winning, and that starts from Saturday. I think that picks us up, and that's a big week. I certainly think the FA Trophy is far more important to us than the Kent Senior Cup, put it that way. And we will be looking to bounce back Saturday with a view to going into a very, very important game for us against Dartford the following week.